Table Talks Gambia. We're at Empire Radio Station in Gunjur, the Gambia, and I am Jamaica V. This is a program called Back to the Motherland, and we are doing a series talking to it's okay. We're doing a series talking to people who are thinking of repatriating back to Africa, the Gambia. And also Gambians who have lived away from Gambia for a period of time and have decided to come back and bring their families back to Gambia. So the experience for those as well, advice and support. So I'm Jamaica V, and I've got some guests with me today, and I'd like you all to introduce yourselves.
Fatsami, greetings to you all.
Hey, I'm Rehema from Kisi, who is glad to be here in Gambia, new links.
Greetings, I'm Seymour from UK. Big thanks for being here. Greetings.
And
We'll do that after the break.
after the trip.
Okay, we've got some guys here as well.
Hey, I don't think you will see me anyway. I am Onk Amenra, also known as Spider. I'm also happy to be part of this program. And we welcome you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jeff.
Barakat. Thank you again this week for your patience. Now, last week we had some really meaty discussions. I've got a beautiful lady here called C. And C, what did we discuss last week?
We were talking about me bringing my son here, bringing my son home, and being single in Gambia. Yeah.
Now, we talked about education. Yeah, and that's when we brought C in to talk about education with her son. Is there anything you want to reiterate this week about that, C? Sorry, I just put her on the spot
Put me
there.
on the spot again. Right now, sorry. Not at the moment. Let me think.
I think some of the feedback we got from last week was the fees.
Oh yes.
People were really surprised about the school fees and the fact that you had to pay for your children to have school in or go to school in the Gambia.
Yeah.
So they wanted to reiterate what were the fees, and that was
Okay.
correct, that you have to pay.
You do have to pay, and unless your child's Gambian, you get a discounted rate. Other than that, you have a quite substantial rate, which would probably, depending on which school you go to, again, and based on local school or international school. So we're looking at international school, say on average 500, and it could range up to about £1,000. So US, we're talking about 700 to about 1,200.
And that's per
US
term.
per term, which there's 13 weeks in a term, and there's like 13 weeks. Simon and Spider can back me up on that actually, because I'm a teacher as well, he'll know what the fees are. So yeah, you can obviously try and put them in a local school, which on average we're looking at about 200, 300 per term, I'd say. Yeah.
Right, so there are people that didn't know, like C, that you had to pay for schooling in the Gambia, because in the UK, unless it's a private school, schooling is free. So, Spider, we have to pay for schooling in the Gambia?
Well, schooling in the Gambia is, I'm not going to say you have to pay, unless if you want to go to a private school. A private school, which are commercial school, obviously you have to pay, and then depending on how good the school is, the payment is determined by the standard of education that they offer. Okay, and majority of the people also, when they come from Europe, they look at standard. Okay. At my area, we set up a school, and the school is morally free. Okay, and then what happened is, like, we are looking at the more skill side of it. Okay, where the children, instead of going into academics, because we've seen so many Gambians who finish schools and still sitting down, so we think majority of the people, when they come, they didn't check in the locality most of the time, because if you are in Kololi or in Bijilo or in Burfood area, obviously schools that are built around that end is targeting the Tonis, and then that obviously is commercial. But if you come to my community like in Gunjuria or Jambanchile, you want to enroll your child in the primary school, which is the government enrolled school, obviously it will be free. The only thing that you will need to buy is your books and the learning materials.
And your meals. So you're saying that if you go to a school in the communities in the Gambia, the community areas, the villages, you would not have to pay.
Yeah,
Government schools in the communities, you don't have to pay.
You don't have to pay.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, C
I
wants
was
to
going
come
to say,
back
I
on.
didn't really find, that's what I was saying, the government schools, they were still fees you had to pay. You still had at least 30% to pay. There was not ever a school that there was nothing to pay. Like you said, obviously you've got your books and so forth, and you'd have your uniform because you buy those from the school.
Is that because we are not Gambian? Do you think there is a fee if you're not Gambian?
If you are allowed in a school, I don't think they will bring that stereotype environment in a school. Okay? If you are not Gambian and you are attending a Gambian school, Gambian primary or basic cycle school, obviously you will be treated equally.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Because I have friends who came to my community and I enrolled their children in my school, even though they are not staying for a very long time. But
No fees.
no fees.
Okay, thank you.
What I might not be sure of is if it is a higher school.
Right.
Okay? Well, at high school you might pay, but that's also going to be an examination fee kind of. Okay? Examination fee and stuff. But
Or
government
study
schools,
fees. Or study fees.
yeah, but government schools, you don't.
But some government school, you do have to pay half of it, and the government will pay half of it. Because when I was going to school, I can remember the government paid half of it, and I will pay half of it. My
Which-
parents pay. So, and you have to buy. They give us uniforms, but you have to buy books. Yeah, books material, and you pay the study fees. You have to pay that.
So your study fees, are they exam fees?
No.
What are study fees?
Study fees are like weekends, like the weekends we do studies, and like if you are attending morning classes, we close at 2. So that 2 you have to stay for study classes till 4.
Okay.
After
Past
study.
4.
So these are
Yeah.
extra classes.
Like after
Extra
studies.
classes.
Okay.
So those
After
extra
school
classes
studies.
you have to pay.
Right.
But it's not expensive. Like 200 or 250 you have to pay. Yeah.
Each class?
Each person, each student have to pay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Okay. So maybe we can. Well, Spider's a teacher, so that's a Spider's school. So maybe we can look at the fees and come back another day and have this program with some teachers and get some clarity on which schools you have to pay, which schools you don't have to pay, and how do we, as returnees coming back, how do we enrol our children in schools, whether it's private or community schools, and maybe look more on that on another day. But thank you, C, for your contributions from last week and telling us about your experience with your son. And this week we're actually going to move on to another topic. Yeah. So I know that everyone's rubbing their hands on this one. Last week we started off single women coming to the Gambia. You're smiling. But what is the experience of single women coming to the Gambia? We were asked a question. Can a single woman come to the Gambia and live freely with no hassle? Is it acceptable? What is the experience of single women coming to live in the Gambia? C.
Hassle-free, not. Entertaining, I would say. There's always going to be those boosts to the system that we get, and it's down to the woman at the end of the day what she's looking for. If she's coming for a good time or to have a long-term relationship, that can be found. There's lots of different scenarios. If somebody wants to be single and take their time, there's that, but there's always going to be, every corner you turn, somebody, is turning an eye and or greeting you or trying to get to know you or wanting to be with you. That's a constant.
You're talking about men.
Men, yes, definitely. That's a constant.
So sorry, technical.
Okay.
So as a single woman coming to live in the Gambia, say, looking for housing, maybe even looking to work or start a business, how easy is that?
To do all those things. It's easy. You've just got to kind of do your research and look around, and the place has got a lot of potential. So it's ultimately what you want to come here and do. You can come and set up and start new life, and your dreams, whatever you've planned to do before, you can really focus here and get on with it and do that.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I see. I just from some of the conversations that we've had before, it's been brought up that sometimes it's difficult to deal with the men because the men don't tend to express a high level of respect for women. So oftentimes when a woman is asking for different things, this is what I've heard some of the sisters say, and then I'll tell you about my experience the other day. That when they tell the men what they want built or how they want something done, that they won't listen unless you have a man to come and say the same thing, and then you may get a different response. And I heard that a lot, but I really wasn't that familiar with that until we went to the mechanic the other day with your car, remember? And the mechanic was there. I don't think we talked about it afterward, but the mechanic was there, and when I spoke to him, he act like I didn't even exist. Like I was like, excuse me, and I just said, what was happening? There's something happening with the muffler. And the young boy that was working with him kind of responded and answered a little bit, but bruh, just act like I wasn't even there. Like I wasn't 5'6", at least 135 pounds, talking to him. Until I walked over further, and there was a brother there. There was an older man there.
I got the older
Yeah,
man.
and the older man went over and just said the same thing I did, and he just talked to him like normal, like it was a normal conversation. And I was like, oh. Yeah.
But was that because you're a woman? Because, I mean, I went and got the older man because for me, I felt it was a cultural thing.
Right.
And he was very, very busy. So that's when I spoke to the older man who spoke English, and I explained to him what we wanted. And he went and explained to the mechanic, and the mechanic understood. But he said, I'm very busy. I'm going to do
He
it in the
understood.
moment. Yes.
He understood because he and the boy were talking. And whatever the boy said to him, he turned and said, exhaust the exhaust. Like he was clear. Okay? Yeah, he understood. But
we were there.
he just chose not to respond to me and not to
Okay.
interact with me.
And you are correct, I think. For me,
100%.
there's a lot of us that come to the Gambia to do things that we've never done before. In England, you don't get the opportunity to build, for example. So you're building, you are
And this
talking
is-
and dealing with plumbers, electricians, and all those workmen. And my experience when I came to the Gambia with my husband when I was married, it was no matter what meeting we went into or who I spoke to, even though I was doing something, they would address my husband. And that happens now. Any man I'm with, I could be with my electrician, they will address my electrician before they address me. Even if I'm saying, okay, can you answer me a question? And I'll ask them a question, they address the man I'm with rather than, and that is quite an experience that we have as single women in the Gambia.
And this is why I say, though, you have to take your time and do your research, and ultimately, if you're dealing with somebody, kind of reassure yourself that, what that you're saying to them is right. And I'd ultimately say, write it all down. Write it all down and probably get them to sign and say, yeah, so we're, clarify things,
Yes.
And really try and re-explain. So, do you understand me? Because one of the issues is a language barrier. So that's one of the things I find.
Speak
Say,
away.
Oh my God, do you want my opinion on that one?
Oh,
yes, yes.
do we?
Can I go to the mic? Yes. Single women. Are you all single?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay. This is interesting. Anyway.
Why is that interesting?
Yeah, anyway, because single women talking about their problem in the Gambia. One thing I would
It's
like
not single women talking about their problems in Gambia, it's
No.
single women coming to the Gambia.
Yeah.
People
And
have
talking
asked
about-
us how
do you
can they
exactly-
come as a single woman to the Gambia.
And not only problems, good and bad
Yes.
Yeah, there
experiences.
is.
Yes.
Okay. What I want to put in, number one, you have to see Gambia, not culturally, we are also colonized by Europeans and the Arabs.
Very true.
Okay? Okay, we have, that's why I said we are sometimes schizophrenic in a sense. It's sad to say this,
It's
but
true.
because we have the Arab side of us and the European side of us, and then this is called multiple personality, and also you have the black side of us. Okay, if you look at the Gambia, it is more patriarchal than matriarchal.
Yes.
Okay? and then from Afroceles. Okay, so obviously they give birth to kings and prophets and all this. So they are highly respected in the Gambia until certain time when barbaric people came and changed that. Okay, okay. Now majority of the Gambian don't see women like that anymore. But not all of them, because me I respect women. And I like to listen to them because they have more foresight as far as I'm concerned than men. Okay? But not everybody is trained like that. I was brought up in a household where a woman do certain kind of hard work than men. You know, if we eat, after eating, they have to do the washing, the sweeping, and all that. Okay? While the men or the boys have less things to do. Okay? In the day, if you look at the activities at the day, in the day, you see women do more than men. Okay? That is a culture that we are born into. Okay? Okay, if you grow up with that idea, okay, so it kind of give you an attitude. I'm not saying you disrespect women, but you didn't give them the position that they deserve. That happens, okay? But that can also be rectified, okay, by depending on the woman or the lady who is in charge. Like she has an idea that if you come, you have to put certain things in place with them, okay? Because number one, there is a communication barrier. Most of the skilled people, like if you go to a mechanic workshop, most of them are Senegalese. They are more French than English, okay? Most of them might speak English, but because they don't want to embarrass themselves, so they will prefer to respond to somebody who is known English or Gambian, so that at least they can express themselves better.
So that's what happened.
So normally that is also the issue. But because we don't see it like that, okay, sometimes we mistake these things and then treat it another way around. But what is more important, I think, yes, it's difficult for single women to come to Gambia without hassle. It is very difficult because Gambians were educated by Europe in a manner that everything from Europe is the best. Okay? So if you come from that end, I think we see white women coming to the Gambia, marrying our young people and taking them back to Europe, and all these things has also affected so many young people. Okay? I know certain communities will come there and live there. Nobody will disturb you. Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought up the point about influence, you know, and not only just influence but imposition. So I was thinking that as she was speaking that I learned some time ago that like 80% of Africa was matrilineal and matriarchal. So it was only after the imposition of Arabs and Europeans that we shifted to patriarchal societies throughout the continent. And I remember an elder from Ghana telling me that before and saying that they're working to shift it back to women. And I also remember during a course that I was taking on colonization and the African response, where I learned that Europeans realized that the African woman was more audacious than the African man, and that the only way that they would be able to colonize Africa was if they dispositioned the African woman. So most of the wealth was transferred through and by women. Women controlled the markets, women controlled the farming and agriculture, so they had to displace women so that women would be dependent on men in order for them to be able to do the colonization thing. So it's interesting that you say that.
Can I comment? Because if you look at also even on my ancestor line, like my family, you see the name of a child. You see now we have the father's soul name as the family name, but before your soul name is your mother's name. Okay, like my name is Alaji, so my mom is Sira, so I am Alaji Sira. Okay, so normally before it becomes that, this is how. And if you are marrying also, it's not you marrying the husband paying the bride price or whatever. It wasn't like that. I'm not saying that there is no bride price attached, but it is the man that goes to marry into the uncle's house, which is you go and meet the wife. Okay? Okay, certain things has changed, and then, like you said, we're trying to bring it back. Topic and discussion like this, we're trying to at least make people understand that there are certain things that we think, because it's been here for a very long time, we normalize it, but they are not normal. I used to have some argument with my friends, the way they handle, especially sisters that come. I said, this is disrespect. Not disrespect to the woman, but disrespect to yourself, because the way you behave, okay? So it is very key that, they should also understand, because when you newly come from Europe, you are very respectful. You don't want to offend anybody. So you are so kind, and then, okay, easy with them. Sometimes they take that for granted, okay? Being respectful doesn't mean that, I am in love or I'm interested in you. I just don't want to talk about it. I can remain single as far as I want to remain single. But one thing we also know, that in the Gambia, remain single is not normal, okay? As a Gambian, for Gambian, if you lost your husband, for instance, okay, your family will advise you that you should get, because what happens is that it makes your head light. People will tell you, listen, if you don't have a husband, you don't carry a voice, okay? You need a partner. Okay?
And I think going back to this comes back to exactly what we were talking about in the beginning, that as a woman, when you go to do a transaction or something, if you're with a man, they direct the question to the man because that's what they're used to. So it is a fight, but I think that because it's something they're not used to, once they understand that actually you are in charge of whatever you're doing and that you know what you're talking about, because again, it's almost like people, Gambian men will not think that we know anything about cars or electricals, or they say, well, what do you know? How you're a woman? That's not. It's almost like this is not a woman. This is a woman's job, and this is not. And we've heard that. We've heard people say that's you're not supposed to know that, or you're not supposed to do that. So it is. It's quite difficult. We want women to come that are non-Gambian, and Gambians to come home. There are a lot of women that are born to Gambian parents outside of Gambia, and they wish to come home, and we want them to come home. But we also want people to understand what life is going to be like. And I know, even for me, one of the issues I have is the language. In England, I was born to Jamaican parents, and being born to Jamaican parents, there's certain things that we're taught from we're very small, very, very small, like the please and the thank you and the etiquettes. And sometimes when a man says, give me that, or push me, and I hope I'm not exaggerating, I might be standing there and then push me like that because they want to go behind, and you're thinking, and if you give somebody something, and sometimes even a child, they just snatch it. And one of the things is, if you take it personal, it's going to hurt you. It's going to bother you because you're taking it personal, that this person's being rude to me. But I think an understanding of it's not rude, it's just the way somebody here may have been brought up. Have you experienced that?
I've experienced that, and that's what we're saying. I think I said last week that it's about, even though we have to understand how the Gambians work, they have to understand us as well, because there's a lot of misunderstandings, and you'll get, you don't understand me, but they're talking to me in English, so I'm like, I understand you, but you're not understanding me, because sometimes the words can be put in a different way. And yeah, they are trying to be respectful, but then it's like, as a woman, back down a little bit. You're the woman, so back down. You can't really have that much of a voice. But I just say stand firm and show, like, I know what I'm doing here, and at the same time also, let's work together. Let's, I want to empower you, you teach me, and we show you how to do certain things. Especially like when you're saying you're dealing with the builders and dealing with building. Workmen, sometimes you have to stop. You have to take breaks every now and again, because it can get a bit too much, and like you say, they'll say yes, they understand, and they'll do something completely different. It's like, I thought you understood what I said, and like, I thought you said this, and I thought you said that. So there can be a lot of misunderstandings. It's about trying to understand each other.
Very true. And culturally, I mean, I remember coming here many years ago and driving, and the women and the children and people used to stare and point at me and say, "There's a woman driving," you know. And this was like 12, 13 years ago, and it was almost in the country areas not seen that well, a black woman especially, but a woman driving, it was almost something not seen. Now, loads of women are driving better cars than some of the men. But it's understanding the culture of that. Do you want to say something? Come on, you're a Gambian woman. We want to hear from you.
I'm Jamaica. I'm just telling you what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. Another topic. I'm going to bring you in here. We've had Gambian women, and they've said, I'm sorry, we've had women from England and the US that have written in and said to us that Gambian women do not like us. And they've said, V, why don't Gambian women like us? And I say to them, well, why do you think Gambian women don't like you? Sorry about that. Rima. Why don't Gambian women like us? I said, why do you think they don't like you? And they've said that when we're walking and we say hello to a Gambian woman, they just look us up and down and just ignore us. When we go, we're invited by a guy to a naming ceremony and we go, they just look at us up, down, and what they've said to me is they give us a dirty look and look away. And this seems to be an experience from quite a few women that are non-Gambian that have come to the Gambia to settle. Can you give me an insight on whether you're...
All right, as you said, for me, if it's for me, I would accept it because we. Sorry.
Hold on, take this one.
For sure, we would have accepted and loved it. Yeah, because we are all the same. We are all blacks. Yeah, but what I think is maybe we are from different culture or different living. The way we look and the way we dress. Some of them, when they see the way you look, or their parents taught them that when you put on this thing, it's very bad or something like that. The way we dress, yeah, the way you dress. Sometimes when they look you, they'll say, "Oh, maybe it's it," or something like that. They have the thinking or what they told them. That's why some of them, when you greet them, they'll respond to you. Yeah, some of them also. It's not all people. Some are friendly, open. Some are side. It's because of their side. When you say hi, they are side to respond to you back. But for me, I don't think that's a side. Because when somebody greets you, you have to respond. It's not part of your side or not. Maybe it's its own personal thing. Although I don't know what is the reason why he did that. But for all what I have to say, we are all blacks and we are all the same. From Gambians, Spanish, or England, America, Jamaicans, all blacks, we are all the same. The same mother, the same father. Yes. And we accept all the blacks as from any country, and we are welcome any time we want.
Thank you. Anybody want to respond to that?
Yeah, there's something pretty deep that you shared with me before regarding what women see when they see you in terms of what you represent and what we might represent. And I know that it goes even beyond the women because of my experience with one of the immigration officers that I met with. And that is the fact that I know for us as African Americans, we are the only black people in the world that have a passport where we can go anywhere in the world. Other people are very much controlled by other entities. And so, you didn't say exactly that, is in front of us. You know what I'm saying? And I had an immigration officer to say, I had an immigration officer. Yes, okay. It's okay?
Yeah.
Still hungry.
Go ahead.
I had an immigration officer to say to me, okay? I had an immigration officer to say to me, he asked for my passport. When I took my passport out, he said, you're showing off this passport, you know. And there was this attitude, and so it just brings to mind what you said in terms of even people may not even realize and may not even be conscious of it, of a feeling that they may have of a level of frustration for freedom. And I'm not talking about freedom just to travel. I'm talking about, as you expressed, freedom to just be yourself.
Yes.
And here we come here and we have that liberty to just be ourselves, to dress how you want to, you know. So that may be a part of.
So you think there's a level of jealousy, or
I
a
mean, we
level
can
of
term it of jealousy because of lack of any other words, because we're only trying to use the European language to express what it is. But when I think of it, I don't really think of it as though someone is being jealous or envy. But it's like maybe if it's a certain amount of hurt or frustration in that person when they see you coming, you know, because you represent these different things.
Because I had a Gambian woman and she said that you guys can dress how you want, you have a certain level of freedom, and they've actually used that term, that they're jealous because they are under a lot of restrictions from their communities and from their families. So they're so restricted that they feel that they would, and this is again, I didn't understand a lot of young people going back way. People talk about the men going back way, but not a lot of times they don't talk about the women. A lot of women went back way. And I didn't understand, I understood job opportunities and thinking they can make money, but I never understood until the other day that part of the reason was restrictions. So a lot of them went that way because of the restrictions that they felt placed on them. And not only that, people have actually voiced that they would not come back, which I find really sad. But they're saying they would not come back unless things change within their communities, and or unless they had enough money to live away, where they're not judged so much by what they wear and how they want to live their life. And I know Spider's looking at me like, I want to say, but respond, Spider.
Yeah, you are right. Coming to when you say that whether it is jealousy or envy, kind of, I call it cognitive dissonance. You know, when you are brought up in an environment that restrict you, okay, tell you this is right, this is the way you should dress, this is the way you should behave, this is the way you should act. You should, especially as a woman, you have to be modest. You don't have to shout loud. That's why we don't have women priests and women imams. We don't have them as leaders and all these things. It's just now that liberation started. But what happened to many women is they like to be free. When they see somebody who is that free, not just free but super free, it kind of put them off. Okay, so I think that's one thing that affects so many sisters. And then this will happen to sisters that are not also exposed to that reality. Okay, and then it's not that they are not friendly or jealous or bad mind or grudge, but what they do is like, you know, they just have that internal off mode in them, you know, and especially with your hair cut with that style, with that color on it, and all these things put them off, okay? And because we are trained from a Muslim perspective, that there are certain ways of look that you as a woman cannot have.
Independent can tell you, I don't want to see you with this guy.
Exactly.
Yes.
Who is this guy?
Yes.
So we are very judgmental depending on how you appear. I used to do that. You see, if you come to Rome, you do as Roman. So which means to avoid that cognitive dissonance kind of environment, what you do is first, before you start with your own type of dressing, you come and dress like that. Okay? And they know that, okay, this is okay. And they will even show you how to dress, how to put on your wrapper around, how to tie your hair, head, and so.
That I've been engulfed in West African culture for 40 years. So long before I even came to Africa, I was already involved with West African culture. I was already eating out of one bowl with the crew in Oakland, California. So I already was engaged like that. But for some people, they're just not interested. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't really make somebody more African to wear a lapa or to wear a certain hairstyle or whatnot, you know. But I do think it is important to embrace the culture. Yeah, it's important to embrace the culture and embrace the people. And sometimes I think that it's critical to remember that, especially us as Africans, especially us that are conscious of Pan-Africanism, that it's okay that you have a little bit of difficulty, like when you and I walking sometimes, and people are looking at us and stuff like that. I always turn over, even if it's not easy, and I'm like, Salam alaikum. You know, even though it might not be easy sometimes, it's okay. It's worth going that extra mile. It's worth going that extra yard. And people respond to that.
Really do. Because you've got Gambian women that have lived in Europe for a long time. They are not going to conform when they come back. They're going to dress how they want to dress. So you can't tell them that you've now got to wrap your hair, you've got to change your hairstyle, you've got to cover really are. And there is a difference because when we go to the tourist areas or the people dress how they want to dress, I can't tell the difference between a Gambian and a non-Gambian when I'm in certain areas. But when I'm in the villages, I can. Now for me, in the villages, I will say Salam alaikum or good morning, and it's difficult at first because it does feel like people don't want to engage with you and they don't like you. But as you persevere and people get to know who you are and not a pretend version of you, it's amazing how they accept you. I was brought up in a Christian upbringing. My father's a minister, and to be honest with you, the lifestyle here in the Gambia is very, very similar. Very similar. You know, I went to a church, they called it the do's and don'ts church because there were so many regulations and rules. And one of the rules was you have to have a high enough neckline, a low enough hemline, and cover every, you know. And this is a Christian church. So we were brought up with the same rules and regulations, but it kind of stops people from being individuals. And this is what I'm saying is, if we're saying that women should conform and dress to come home, maybe, again, I understand then why a lot of Gambian women don't want to come back unless things have changed or things change.
So the idea of being an individual, the idea of being an individual is, you know, that is like two sides to that. So it's cool for us to be individualistic, but at the same time, or to be consider our individual identity, but at the same time, it's okay to actually be, I don't know the right word, but not free, because you can be free. Like, I'm free. I can wear a lapa. I feel hecka free. That's why I took the skirt off, because I feel freer in the lapa than I do in the skirt, because I can sit how I want and move how I want. Very different than wearing a Western skirt. If I wore a Western skirt, I would be uncomfortable. And those lapas are actually more comfortable, so it may seem like conforming, but for me, it's freedom. Even when I'm in Oakland, California, that's what I prefer to wear. I like the comfort ever since I was introduced to it. But what I'm saying with regard to the idea of being and also have the idea that we want, just even while we're having this conversation, because we actually want to be a part of a community. So it's a balance between the two. The other thing I wanted to mention is I have a friend who it's the first time I ever met a Senegalese who wore a afro. I never seen that. And when she came home, when she decided to move back to the Senegambia area, she wore her hair natural. When I came to see her in 2017, she had a wig on, and I was so surprised because her mom used to wear an afro,
Fitness Center,
and that's where she got it from. And so I asked her, I was like, you know, what happened? Like, why? And she said, girl, I just couldn't take the pressure anymore. Everywhere I went, my aunts, my mom, not her mom, but all of her other mothers, everybody was on her case to, why are you wearing your hair natural? You know what I'm saying? So she actually came from the West, living in the West. She's a mechanical engineer. She came back and she actually conformed. So I was saying that in response to what V was saying earlier with regard to people coming from, even though they're from the area and they come back, they don't conform, but actually she did conform. She did give up and start wearing a wig, and she said when she comes home, she takes it off when she's at home with her family. But when she's around the rest of the family, She just said she wanted everybody to just be quiet. It's very sad.
If I may add a little bit on that, majority of the people that you've said that they travel, Gambian who travel and would like to come back, and then those who come back will put on whatever they want. They will not be dictated on how to wear or what to wear, which is okay. But what happens is like if you come into the localities, like in Gunjur, okay, certain kind of dress, okay, might sound okay, but the whole community commonly, that's not okay. Okay? So, like I said, majority of the Gambians that travel to Europe and come back and want to dress to us European, okay? Sometimes it's good, you know, in the evening you can dress, but when you are going to a naming ceremony, there are mode of dressing that you need to do. If you are going to a wedding, there are mode of dress that you need to do. So, dressing, number one, identify who you are. And that's not something that is new. I know it hasn't been like that, but there are other value that has been, or other part that has been added to it. That is the Arab by side of it. Like the greetings. Like when you come, you greet Albe Kairato, which means Kairabe, Kairadoron, Kortanande. That's a greeting when you start your conversation with. You will say, oh, okay. And then people who cannot speak English will start with you.
Can I bring you back to the dressing part?
Mm-hmm.
I was laughing when you said naming ceremonies, women dress up to the nines. They put on their best, you know, outfits and they look absolutely fabulous. The men, they've got a vest on and a pair of shorts. And I really don't understand it. These men that are dictating how the women should be done. I mean, they're literally, I've seen guys and they're going, oh, we're going to go to a naming ceremony. And I'm like, you're not going to change? I'm like, no, it's fine. And they literally don't care what they wear, they just go to a naming ceremony in whatever they. So it's amazing how the contrast to how the women
They don't
and how
understand
the-
it.
and I've been to naming ceremonies. I don't personally think that Gambian women judge me by if I'm not dressed in an African regalia at a naming ceremony. I've never felt that I've been judged. But no.
No, I've not been judged. I think it's just about being respectful, really. Too much flesh, too much skimpiness, and that.
Yeah.
Then you are going to get those looks, and you're going to get those, sort of way they feel towards you. And I think obviously we walk with an air of confidence.
Yeah, but sometimes I see sometimes also, like we see women as our mothers also, okay? And then you'll prefer to see them dressed in a manner that is okay. For men, I don't think because for me at my household, I don't dictate how you should dress. But I would not also allow my daughters to expose in a manner that will also, because sometimes your mode of dressing will also can also create some
Yeah, because when you go
misunderstanding.
out there, they can even say that maybe Kamara's daughter is not having any respect in the way he's dressing, and the father is just looking at him.
It doesn't mean it's right though, because like I said, I was speaking to a Gambian woman the other day, and she said that when she wears trousers, everybody in the compound looks bad at her and says, oh, you're not dressed respectful, you shouldn't be wearing trousers. So I think there has to be a balance. But going back to see, before we got cough, you were all talking about an air of confidence.
Yes,
Can you finish
with
with
us women, and I think that's a lot of the time where the look is coming from the women as well, because it's like, or sometimes it may be even a good thing. They're admiring you from a distance as well, because obviously when they haven't been exposed to certain things and they be like, okay, I mean, I get a lot of good responses from sisters, and especially it's also how you greet them as well, like Ryan was saying, especially you acknowledge them, because we can do that Western thing where we could be walking and be like, what are you looking at, kind of thing, but, where we look and we say hello or, Nangadef, try and greet them.
Yes.
Once you try, if they can see that you're trying, it's like, okay, they're more warm to you, but, some women, we can walk down like, I'm the real thing here, and some of them will think, who do you think she is, really, and stuff like that. So just being respectful, like don't really walk down the street with your batty riders, and stuff like that. Then, it's just about being respectful and respecting the culture.
You're right. And can I just say to Gambian women, naming ceremonies, even tourists, a lot of times Gambian men invite women to naming ceremonies, or even men as well. And those men might be on the street and they've met them and they've said, oh, I've got a naming ceremony, or my brother's got married. And they've said, come along. So they've actually took them off the street and brought them into a naming ceremony. And as a Gambian, as a woman or a tourist or a visitor to Gambia or a repat, somebody's taken you to a naming ceremony and you felt a warmth that, oh, they've invited me, okay, I'm not really ready to, no, come, it's not a problem. So now you're saying when they get there, they're going to be judged. But a lot of times it's not that they're prepared to go to a naming ceremony, they've literally just been invited out of the kindness of somebody's heart, and they're not prepared, but they've come to see the culture of how a naming ceremony is. But I think understanding then that maybe if that happens, be prepared to be looked at or judged.
Be mindful.
And be mindful of how,
Well, it's good. It's good having this kind of conversation and being able to share it with our audience who are here in the Gambia, so that we can have, this gives us a platform to actually share those experiences that people may not have ever really thought of from one side or the other. So it's excellent, and then in time we can continue to bridge any gaps that have been created.
So we will call that. We will
We're
call
gonna
that
have a
EOTO. That's each one teach one.
Absolutely.
Like you said, we have to learn from each other.
We're going to have a break now. We're on Empire Radio 1, the Gambia, the People's Radio Station. And hold that thought. We're going to come back soon.
Max. Staying fit is a combination of eating well and physical fitness. This you can easily find in Guru Fitness Center Body Max.
Do you know what? Because it was...
First, they will get you the loose part is the way with amazing exercises. Build your muscles gradually. Fitness becomes fashion, so no gym.
Yeah, because I have to give it
Where to prove yourself is to better yourself. The kinds of messages you have at Guru Fitness Center Body Max.
No, it was here, and it was echoing. So that's why I'm trying to make that.
Now bring it in the
Yeah.
No one who is sitting next to you.
Okay, can people hear us?
Rubber plates, double pulling machines, cross trainers, rubber dumbbells, multi-gym machines, and much more. Remember, we have a state-of-the-art changing rooms, toilets and service for our esteemed clients, both ladies and gents. Different varieties of fruits that aid in your developments of muscles and bones are available at reasonable prices. Regular weight training is also part of our exercises. For more information, call 7171-998. 7171-998. Everyone has a purpose, and it is this purpose you pursue that defines you. The reason why we, Dalaba Eco Lodge, located on the Gunjur-Brikama Highway, is here is to create peaceful environment and conducive atmosphere for our esteemed guests, both nationals and those who choose the Gambia as their final destination. Our accommodations are modern standards, well-spaced and well-ventilated seminar and conference rooms. There is no other excellent venue for your birthdays and wedding programs than Dalaba Eco Lodge, so come and experience our affordable luxuries in sustainable environment. Our rooms are inside our gardens filled with sweet-smelling flowers and cozy feelings of nature. Frequent visits to the Gunjut Sandy Beach with our wonderful transport services at no cost is all the time available. To enchant your stay furthermore, at Dalaba Eco Lodge, we create the following: bird watching, bike rentals for visiting local markets, and many other places of interest, city tours and boat trips, etc. For more details, you can touch the digits 00220 360 7043. Email dalabaecolodge78@gmail.com. Facebook, Dalaba Eco Lodge Gambia. Book your places now to experience memorable adventures one cannot afford to miss.
With that batch pan me chest. I'm black without apology, no feelings, no suppress. Africa the motherland, understand the richest continent. When me ready, me a step, me no go fear no consequence. See them a come with them weakness and the pretense in a frequency. And a press button on a weak fence. King Marks a come with the defense. Black star line on the seat when we a steam left enemies. Them want me reduce my lineage to a state of misery. LK and Malcolm get shot, I give speech. Look what the civil rights country I preach. Man, I get shot, cut them off, every free. And a fruit is a man where you hang from a tree. Can't move, get stopped like a artery. Revolution spread like up margarine. Cause I'm black, why they bad and a free. I feel pay women out to foreign embassies. Them a left pure trauma. Look at them, the African daughter. Gone like a thief in the night to their mother. King Leopold could never father. Them as a African man when slaughter. Come with the Bible when I take your offer. African spiritual system marauder. Chop me arm and leg and teach me black. Turn round want me be patriot. See a colonist country and miss me with that thing. Royal African a big idiot. Napoleon a go on like him never come squat. Pan the native than a ear to we call that. The better equality the French them a chat. But them never mean the ones in a France where they black. Line, you know me, I got done it. Fire ever blaze, kerosene in my pocket. Black power have no outage. I have voltage, not fit charge it. Study everything about me, history never lost it. Focus on the victory, no study words like forfeit. The Ethiopians are burnt face, then me a chocolate. Preservation of the melanin, me a flaunt it. Importance of your health and lineage, so seek the knowledge. History books deceiving, make you feel incompetent. Use them and make fashion and no use African trade. Denial of your origin is like a corset. Illusion of exterior with internal garbage. Original palaces and kingdoms found in Mali. Never told us black is powerful and them not sorry. Spear the whites, black soldiers are frontline pan your army. State the facts, give them kilos of the guilt to carry.
Gunjur Fitness Center Body Max. Staying fit is a combination of eating well and physical fitness. This you can easily find in Gunjur Fitness Center Body Max. First, they will get you lose fat easily with amazing exercises. Build your muscles gradually. Fitness becomes fashion, so no pain, no gain. The way to prove yourself is to better yourself with the kinds of machines we have at Gunjur Fitness Center Body Max. You will easily better yourself, like the rowing machine, leg curl machines, weight benches, rubber plates, double pulling machines, cross trainers, rubber dumbbells, multi-gym machines, and much more. Remember, we have a state-of-the-art changing rooms, toilets and service for our esteemed clients, both ladies and gents. Different varieties of fruits that aid in your developments of muscles and bones are available at reasonable prices. Regular beat training is also part of our exercises. For more information, call 7171-998. 7171-998. Everyone has a purpose, and it is this purpose you pursue that defines you. The reason why we, Dalaba Ecology, located on the Gunjur-Brikama Highway, is here is to create peaceful environment and conducive atmosphere for our esteemed guests, both nationals and those who choose the Gambia as their final destination. Our accommodations are modern standards, well-spaced and well-ventilated seminar and conference rooms. There is no other excellent venue for your birthdays and wedding programs than Dalaba Eco Lodge, so come and experience our affordable luxuries in sustainable environment. Our rooms are inside our gardens filled with sweet-smelling flowers and cozy feelings of nature. Frequent visits to the Gunjut Sandy Beach with our wonderful transport services at no cost is all the time available. To enchant your stay furthermore, at Dalaba Eco Lodge, we create the following: bird watching, bike rentals for visiting local markets, and many other places of interest, city tours and boat trips, etc. For more details, you can touch the digits 00220 360 7043. Email dalabaecolodge78@gmail.com. Facebook Dalaba Eco Lodge Gambia. Book your places now to experience memorable adventures one cannot afford to miss.
With that batch pan me chest. I'm black without apology, no feelings, no suppress. Africa the motherland, understand the richest continent. When me ready, me a step, me no go fear no consequence. See them a come with them weakness and the pretense in a frequency. And a press button on a weak fence. King Marks a come with the defense. Black star line on the seat when we are steam left enemies. Them want reduce my lineage to a state of misery. LK and Malcolm get shot, I give speech. Look what the civil rights country I preach. Man I get shot, call them off every free. And a fruit is a man where hang from a tree. Can't move, get stopped like a gottery. Revolution spread like a margarine. Cause I'm black, why the border not free. I pay women out if I remember see.
Hi, welcome back to Black Table Talks, the Gambia. And this is Empire Radio 1, Gambia, Gunjur. And my name is Jamaica V. And I'm just welcoming you back on Facebook Live, on the radio links, and on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel so you can see us live. Yay. We've just been talking about single women. Can single women come and live in the Gambia? Are they going to be hassled? Is it easy for them to buy land, to buy a house? What is, if they're bringing children? And I know sometimes we've kind of deviated a little bit from the topic, but that is the topic. Single women are asking us, can I come and live in the Gambia? Is it going to be okay for me? Is it going to be easy for me? There are some countries that single women are told you can't go. It's dangerous. There's a danger you could be attacked, you could be this and that. Is it safe for a single woman to come and live in the Gambia? And this is Gambians who are coming back home, but also diasporans who have never lived in the Gambia before, but they want to come and live in the Gambia. There are exits all over the world. People are exiting their countries and they want somewhere else to live. But where they go to live, they want that place to welcome them. They want a welcome committee. We're here for the Gambia, but they want a welcoming committee. So I'm Jamaica V, and we've got a new panelist member here, and I'd like you to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Mariama. I'm a citizen, I'm a Gambian, and to encourage the people out there in Europe or any continent, you can come back to your country. We're all blacks, and we're convincing you to come back. You feel free. That's what I want to say.
Thank you. Introduce yourself again.
Rehema. My name is Rehema Nkisi. And hey.
Hi, call me Seymour. Come from London. Hi, again.
Thank you for joining me this week again. Now the next topic we are going to attempt to discuss is a woman, again on single women, a single woman coming to the Gambia. And it may not just be in the Gambia. You might have met a Gambian in another country as well. Are you prepared to live, am I going to say it right, a polygamous life? Is there such a word as polygamous? Which basically means, are you prepared to be a second, third or fourth wife to a Gambian man? Or are you a first wife who have got married to a Gambian man who has said, oh no, I only want one wife, and then later on, after you've been married for a while and maybe even had children, they've approached you and said, well actually I want a second wife and it says in the Quran and I'm going to marry, and you don't have any say in it. So we want to understand the culture, number one. Is it true that a man can just go ahead and marry many wives and the wife can't say anything about it? And we want to hear from you guys. Are you in that situation? And would you be prepared to be a second, third or fourth wife to a Muslim man? Because it's a religion. Because again, we were corrected last week, Christians in the Gambia do not have 1, 2, 3, 4 wives. Only Muslims do. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the judicial system, in the law, I think it's justice you call it in Banjul, you can only marry one wife in the justice. So you can marry up to 4 wives in the mosque, but in the justice system it's called bigamy if you have more than one legal wife. So you can only have one legal wife, is that correct? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
You're a single Gambian woman.
Yeah, I am. I'm a Gambian and I'm single. You know, our religion, you can marry up to 4 wives, like as a Muslim. If you're Christian, you're illegal to marry only 1 wife. And as you said in the justice, you have to marry only 1 as well. But in a Muslim, like our religion, you're allowed to marry more than 1, up to 4, you know. So our people out there, I can say, if you're convinced with that or you think you can do it, you're highly welcome. You can come back, you know, and settle down. There is no problem with it. Yeah, if you don't mind.
So can I just ask you a question? In the Gambia, I mean, would you be a second, third or fourth wife?
Of course, yes.
Yeah. And are there are there women in the Gambia that are Muslims that actually choose not to be a second, third or fourth wife? Or are all Gambian women happy with polygamous relationships?
Well, I can speak my mind. Like for me, I don't have problem with that. But majority of us, like some people, they don't want to be second or third wife. They want to be there alone, you know, which is not, you know, convenience. Like we women, we many in the worldwide. If you want to marry to like our religion, if you want to marry to a guy that you want to be there alone, that would be very difficult for the other not married, you know. So you have to give space and chance to each other, is what I think. For me, I don't have problem with it, but some of us have a big problem with that, seriously. You know, if you get married, your husband asks you that he wanted to marry second or third wife, you know, some of them, they used to divorce because they cannot stand it. Yeah. But for me,
these are Gambians.
Yeah,
they would divorce their husband if their husband wants another wife.
Oh yeah. People are really the same, but for me, I don't have problem with it, seriously, because if we do that, the majority of us will not get married because we have more women than men in the Gambia, not in the Gambia, in worldwide. So we have to give space to each other. You know, we cope with it. It's normal.
Come forward a little bit.
Okay, for my own opinion, I was saying that some of the girls don't like to be second or third wife because there are so many problems in it. All right, you see, but because we were not trained the same. I might accept to be a second wife, but I don't know the third person to come, how it is and how will I live with it. You know, it's a very difficult thing because it's a thing that that you have to stay for so long with the person, and maybe she might be doing something that you don't like, and you might be doing something that you don't like. That causes problems. And some of them, their husbands will show them that I love this one more than I love you. So you see, it's a very big problem in Gambia. That's why so many girls don't like to be first or third wife. They always want to be single, one wife.
Can I ask then? If you're married to a Gambian man and he wants to take on a second wife, does he have to ask your permission, and does he have to gain your permission before he takes on a second wife?
Although some of them would like to speak with the wife that I want to marry a second wife, it's up to you if you like it or you don't like it, but they're just telling you that I have to get. But some of them, they will just marry the wife, do everything, and just tell you that next week I'm having a wife coming. So you see, and it's very shockable.
So they've already married them?
Yeah, they already married them.
So the woman doesn't have to agree?
Yeah.
So if a woman doesn't agree, it doesn't make no difference.
Yeah,
he will still.
The man, the word of a man in a Muslim, the way they say it, the man always speak what he wants.
Has the last word.
Has the last word. Okay. Has the voice. So the women, we are just there to obey.
What do you think, C? Let's hear from C.
I was going to actually say before the break, when we were talking about the attitude of the sisters towards us, one of the things that I've thought about was maybe they look at us and feeling like, oh no, I'm going to lose my husband.
Like they don't have confidence in them.
Do you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
something
I
like that. That's
understand,
one of the things I thought. And for me, I think it's quite disrespectful, to be honest. I think they should just have one woman and that's it. But if it's their culture and that's what they want to do, and even if the women are down with it, it's up to them, really and truly. I want to know, actually, are they allowed to mix, like have a European wife and have a Gambian wife? Is that
a question for you?
Sorry?
Can they mix? Could they have if you were going to have your husband and I like your husband and we're going to be together, sort of thing, would you accept me as
being the other wife?
Yeah.
Of course, yes.
Not that I'm
and going back to the religion then, if would he accept a Muslim, you're a Muslim and he would accept you, and then a non-Muslim, would that cause a problem? Okay, that is what she was trying to say.
Okay, like in a Muslim way, a man can marry a Christian lady in a condition, maybe due to time, the woman can have an idea that I have to be a Muslim, maybe. To convert to become a Muslim, because you have to talk to him nice, maybe you just wrap him, just like, But like a Muslim lady today, I cannot marry to a Christian man.
Okay,
yes. As a Gambian, I cannot. So that's a difference.
So a Christian man cannot marry a Muslim woman?
No.
It happens, but I think we spoke about that last week, and I think Mello was saying that it's easier last week. If you listen to our program last week, we did discuss this, and I think what was said is that the reason it's more common for a Muslim man to marry a Christian woman is that it seemed easier for a man to convince a woman to become a Muslim. If a Muslim woman marries a Christian man, they feel like they will lose that woman to Christianity. But it doesn't mean it's against. They still do marry. But it's a very, very interesting topic.
For me myself, no. I'm not.
You wouldn't be?
No, I wouldn't be. But I found myself in a situation where I found myself attracted to someone. And I was, we were having a conversation, and literally when he'd mentioned that he had two wives, basically quite blasé, I think my head went somewhere else, and I was
he had two wives?
Two wives, yeah.
So you would have been the third?
Well, no, the thing was, it was like, I was like, there was an attraction, so I sat there for a minute, I disappeared, like my mind went, and I was actually considering being the third wife for a second. I was like, what are you thinking? Do you know what I mean? So, I think it's down to people and their, what they want to do, really and truly. And if it's accepted, then the Gambian wives are down with it. But I think the men should respect the wives and come to the wife and see if they're open to it. And if they're not, then have respect for the first wife, but I don't think it's going to change based on religion.
We've had somebody write in, and they basically were saying that when a man can have up to 4 wives, but only one in justice, when you talk about legal matters, the wife in justice has the authority. So if a man lives abroad with his wife, and the wife who lives abroad, he's got married in justice or he's got married legally, if that man dies, then all his assets legally would go to the legal wife. And the other wives that he may have in the Gambia, they wouldn't be entitled to anything that he has abroad because the law only recognises his legal wife. And this is some of the concerns that Gambian women have when a man has more than one wife and marries a wife in justice.
That's a genuine concern.
Mm-hmm. Anybody want to respond to that?
Sorry about the third wife. I have an idea.
You need to come in then.
No, just give me.
But you need to come in. Okay.
Sorry for the interruption, but coming to the third wife, you know, some families are very big, you understand? You can have a brother that passed away and left the wife with some kids, you understand? Living inside the family. So sometimes the family can say that they don't want your brother's wife to go away with the kids and everybody, so they will decide to give it to you. You, the brother that is there right now.
Can you stand that bit so you're not talking into the speaker?
No, it's okay still. It's okay still. Okay, like I said. Hello? Okay, like I was saying, you can have a big family and you have a lot of brothers, you understand? Your brother can pass away. For example, like my elder brother can pass away and I am the junior brother. My elder brother is I already have a wife. Maybe 1 wife or 2 wives. You understand? So when my elder brother passed away and left the family with the kids and the wife in the compound, the family can decide that then Modu, you go and take care of your brother's wife. Now you're having 3 wives. So there's no complaint about that. Because the family don't want the other wife to go with the kids outside or go after their compound again. They don't want to separate the family anymore. So they want everybody to be together, you understand? To keep the memory of your brother still. Right?
Does the wife have a choice?
Yeah, that is 2 different cases.
Okay,
Like,
it's easier.
Okay.
So many different cases.
yeah, that one is 2 different. It's like if you have a wife abroad, you ask, and the wife is married legally, and the one that is married here at the justice, and you want to marry like another wife in Africa, or you passed away abroad, can someone take over you? If I understand what you were saying, yeah, that was the topic, right? You have the right to come back because your husband or your wife passed away. You can come back to Africa and get married to someone else.
I think what it was that if you are married, a man marries a Gambian lady, then he goes to Europe and marries a woman abroad in justice, legally. So he marries a Gambian woman in the mosque, because I've spoke to a lot of Gambian men and they said, no, I will only marry the Gambian woman in the mosque. So when they go to Europe, they marry a wife in Europe, legally. If the Gambian man then dies, then legally everything he has will go to his legal wife. So the woman in Gambia or the wives in Gambia get 0. So there is, and when I spoke to women in Gambia, a lot of them don't understand the difference between marrying in the mosque and marrying in justice. So they would say, oh, it's fine, we just marry in the mosque, it's not a problem. But if the man has more than 1 wife, especially abroad, because if it's in the Gambia, as I understand, then the family and the imam and people can talk about what the man has and they can talk about equally distributing it, if I'm right. But when the man's abroad and he dies abroad, this is where the issue lies, because when they do a search, he only has 1 legal wife. This is what I was saying.
Oh, okay, yeah, you can go on.
Sure. Okay, if I may come in, that is possible, but majority of the Gambian married at the mosque. But one thing we also do is register your marriage with the Qadi. We have Qadi, not only justice. Okay, we also have a Qadi. A Qadi is the Islamic jurisprudence that we have here that look into the affairs from the Islamic point of view. Okay, so for instance, I want to travel, okay, and I want to prove to the embassy that I am married in the Gambia and have children. I don't have to go to justice to confirm that, or have to go to the justice to remarry with them. I can only go to Qadi and register my marriage, and they will give me a certificate that I am married with so and so children.
So how many marriages can you have at Qadi?
Qadi as many as four, because it is Islamic. Okay, but we also don't look at why do men marry 2 wives, 3 wives, 4 wives, because that's also something that we look at. Okay, if you see somebody with 2, 3 wives, he has given you an example why your wife can multiply.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have a wife, your brother also is having a wife, and then your brother happen to have many children with this wife, but unfortunately the brother passed away. Okay, and then they don't want these children to go away and raised by somebody else, and maybe this wife that has so many children with your brother might not be able to go out and remarry to somebody else. So before he become a single mother out there, he can stay in the household. But also there is a decision. It's not that the woman has a choice, because it happens in so many scenarios where the woman said, no, I'm sick and tired of this family, I cannot remain in this family, and go away. Okay?
Definitely.
But what is more important here is the circumstances of getting 2 wives or 3 wives. It's true, some men will discuss having wife with another wife, with their other wives, okay? And sometimes it is the family, okay, that will orchestrate this, and then they also introduce another wife into the family.
Thank you.
But the sister has clearly said that not everybody cares. She said she don't mind having 2 other sisters around her, sharing one husband. I know you and she and others might find that very difficult, because the environment that you come from does not condone that. Okay? So, but what is happening is also has to do with tolerance. Okay? I said I don't think I can do that, but I cannot have problem people doing it. Okay? I cannot have 2 wives, because I don't know how to handle it. I cannot divide myself into 2 and go into, you know what I mean? But
I think what you were saying in the beginning was correct, in terms of you were saying to us, even though it's the way it is in Gambia, there are huge difficulties in some. I spoke to quite a few men, and the women fight. The ideal situation is you marry 2 wives or 3 wives or 4, and they all get on very nicely, and everyone lives in the same compound. And I hear time and time again Gambian men saying, my wives don't get on, I have to now go and find another compound for this, a cause by having 2 wives. And a lot of younger Gambian Muslim men now say they would never have 2 wives because it's stressful. But I think we're talking about choices, really, having a choice. Because even 2 things really I'd like to say. Number one, I've heard we went to a wedding, and it was they went to Cadi court, and they got married. And I went to this wedding I was invited to, and I said, looked at me and I said, well, yeah, lovely to meet the bride, but where's the groom? And the groom wasn't in the country. And I said, well, how can you have a wedding and the groom is not here? And they said, it's normal. And the marriage went ahead. And I find that extraordinary. And I know you're saying Cadi court's the same legal thing, and you can get, but where does it end, really? So, yeah. Can you respond, because you were saying something before?
Oh, like what my brother said. Like, if a man happens to get married to a wife, and he passed out, and the brother is there with 2 wives, maybe to make it 3 wives. Mm-hmm. It's depend on the family. If you are a good girl and you were very honored in that family, people will accept you to stay. Yes. But if you were otherwise, nobody will even fight for you to stay, or telling Lamin, can you please marry Binta or something like that? It won't happen. But if you are a nice guy, people respect you and you respect people, know how to talk in the family, everybody appreciates you, it might be. Even if you don't want people, when people talk, you accept it to stay in the family because you are happy. But some people also, when they are married, like their mother-in-laws, the sister-in-laws disturb them a lot.
Yes.
So when their husband dies, to stay in the family, it's going to be a very big problem for them. They decide to go than to stay.
And what happens to them? Where do they go?
Yeah, they go to their father's compound, maybe to find another lot, to find another man. Maybe somebody can come to the door for them. Yeah. If you're not lucky, then they decide to stay single. Some of them, the bad experience they have in marriage, they decide to stay single. They don't want to remarry again.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, it depends on the the bad experience he wanted to explain. Like, if you're married to a family where people appreciate you and you know how to communicate, and you're a good woman, and you know how to cooperate yourself, you have respect for the family, everybody will prefer you to stay. And you yourself, you will feel good to stay in that compound. If you don't have respect or you don't feel comfortable in that house, that relationship, you will prefer to quit and go and sit at home, being single, or to remarry somewhere else.
The family, sometimes when your husband want to make a wife, the family will fight for you. She's a good woman. We don't want you to look for another woman. The family fights for you. But when you're a bad woman, like when anybody talk, you talk, they will say, okay, the family will put you in a pressure. Like if you don't want to get married to another one, they will put you we don't like your wife, this and this and this. If you are married to this wife, it's like you married for yourself, but not for us. Like you see that. Many of them also go look for another wife for the family, but not their own willing. Do you understand?
Yes. Rahima.
Yeah, that's right. It's true. Like, it's convenience, like someone who can cope with the family, and in our religion is very normal. Like we do that. If your husband passed away, your brother can take over, which the family or kids or whatever. That will be the woman's offer, because they will ask your opinion. Like, do you want to marry or you want to go home? You have to decide yourself. The woman have to decide. It's not like compulsory. You have to stay here. They will ask your opinion. Like, do you want to stay? Or that there will be chatting. Like, you prefer to stay in that family, or you wanted to go home. You make your choice. It depends how you was living with the family, whether happy or unhappy. You make your own decision. It will not be like something like compulsory. You understand that? Yeah.
It's not like you're forced. You have to go.
You said, yeah, that's very true.
So Rahima, would you be a second, third, or fourth wife to a Muslim Gambian man?
Don't say only a Muslim to a man itself.
No, because Christians only have one. Yeah, I said
Muslim
Gambian men.
Yeah.
Christian Gambian men don't have second, third, or fourth wives.
My own experience would have me to most definitely say not. However, from what I've seen many women that are unhappy in this area around this. And I've seen it is not a system that follows the Quran. I'm sorry, it does not follow Islam, because many men marry without the consultation of their wife. I see it, no, it's not cool. And then also, one thing I saw from my very first trip to Africa, the two wives did not speak to each other for the entire 6 weeks that I was there. The two wives that were left. And they had a plot of land side by side. And the children of the one wife would not let the children of the other wife pass their house in front to carry the wheelbarrow to build the other wife's house, and that was very disturbing for me. And also, it was a lot of that. I learned that there was a lot of that in the country, especially a lot of issues amongst the children of the same father, but different. So I think that sometimes it's selfish, because the man is not considering what he's doing in terms of economics for those families and in terms of a woman's heart. And that's what I used to tell my husband at the time, like, okay, you know, if y'all are more your Monday, then your Monday is your Monday. That means if God represents compassion, then compassion is compassion. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're not compassionate just because it comes to you making a decision about a marriage, about taking a second wife. And like Sister Fatu here said, many times men, they'll go and marry and then do all of this and bring the wife back and you have no choice. And I heard a couple of brothers saying that, and I asked, I said, the guy was planning to take a second wife, and his wife was at home while he was out of the country. And I asked, I said, well, does his wife know that he's getting ready to marry his other girlfriend from high school? He said, no, but he has no choice. He has to accept it because that's the culture. So no, I don't agree with it, and I've seen too many miserable women. But I also have seen women that it's totally cool.
Yes.
I have a friend who has 2 wives. He was ashamed to even tell me that he had a second wife. I didn't even know he had a second wife. And I heard his cousin said, I said something about his wife, something, and his cousin said, well, which wife? And I said, what do you mean, which wife? And he said, you don't know he has 2 wives? I said, no. And they were both right there. And then I asked him, why didn't you tell me? And he said, because it's not your culture. And he didn't think I would accept it. But it wasn't like that. And then when I knew, because I was bringing gifts for his wife, I didn't know that both of these sisters were his wife. Or I would have been bringing gifts for both of them. Yes.
A couple of complaints that we've had is that women have come not understanding the culture, non-Gambian, and they've met a man who have not told them that they already have a wife. And some have even gone as far as to marry these women from abroad without them knowing that he has a second wife. And one of the women I've spoken to has said, V, what hurt me most is not just the fact that my husband lied to me, but his family and the whole community lied to me. They knew he had a wife and children, and they said nothing. And this is what women are fearful of, is when they come to the Gambia and they meet a man, because they know men can have multiple marriages, they are not sure and not secure in knowing, is this man already married?
But it's down to them to do their due diligence, isn't it, realistically? Well, you know,
if the family and the whole community is lying to them, who's going to tell them the truth?
It's happening for people that are living out. Even in the Gambia, it's even happening because for my auntie,
with Gambian women.
Even my auntie, it happens to her. The husband get married to her, and he was the 3rd wife, and he tell him that I only have 1 wife. Yeah,
it's very, very bad.
I think coming
and
from...
they just broke up.
So this happens in the Gambia with Gambian.
Because for my own auntie, it happened to her.
I think
Wow.
coming from
He was
the
the 3rd
UK,
wife.
She was the 3rd
Child.
wife, and he told her she was the first.
The
second.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So,
see.
you know, I think it's a critical thing, and it's something, and I'm glad, like I said earlier, that we have this platform to share, because this is something for Gambians to think about, and something for all of us as Africans to think about, because, and just people in general, because it's just important that we uplift our character and have some sense of integrity about the way we move.
Absolutely.
And
See, what did you want to say?
what was I going to say? Sorry, I was going to say we tend to find, again, going back to being single, men always want to come to your house. They always want to come to your house. But I think for the women, be diligent, and, you know, we want to go to their house. We want, you know, we want to be invited to your house. We want to have dinner at your house. We want to meet your parents. We want to meet your sisters. We want, you know, we want to, obviously, like I say, do your due diligence. Find out, is he married? Is he with someone? You know, because...
Can I ask you, as a Gambian woman, both of you, if we meet a Gambian man, how do we find out if he already has 1, 2, 3 or 4, 1, 2 or 3 wives already? How do we find out if he's already married?
As a Gambian or...
A Gambian man. So if there's a wall of silence with his family and the community, how does a non-Gambian, how does a Gambian, you said it happened with your auntie, so we talk about due diligence, which is finding out. How do we find out whether this man is married or not?
Yeah, it's very difficult sometimes because some men are not, how can I say they are all like that, but some men, they cannot tell you the truth until and unless they married you and you already married to them. So they can bring that one out like I'm married and all that, or you find it out yourself, because some of them if you are married to a wife, the wife can be somewhere else. You leave her in your village or somewhere else. And the other wife, the new wife you're taking, you will not tell her the truth. That's happened here. Some people are facing some difficulties about that, and it's very bad. It will not end forever. Yeah. She must come over, like she must come across that, like you're married. She will find it out one day or the other. Yeah. So there's no reason why you should lie to your wife, someone you want to marry.
So, Spider, from a male's perspective now, what would you say?
Well, what I will say as from a Gambian perspective, number one, like I said, I will not forge marriage, okay? Because you can only talk for yourself, okay? And then, like I said, majority of the Gambians who chooses to marry many wives also are under influence because they don't understand this culture that is introduced to them. They don't understand what it takes, okay? Because even one wife is too much if that wife is dependent, okay? Yes. So obviously, like I said, it depends on the individual choice, okay? So as far as I am concerned, I'm not going to forge marriage, and then I'm not going to lie about my marriage, and then I'm not going to go into another relationship because my wife is my other half, without my other half knowing what's going on. That is an individual point of view. Okay, but generally, Gambians don't see it like that because this culture is an opportunity to experience 1, 2, 3, or 4 wives. But the sad side he's talking about is if somebody goes to Kadi or go to the Justice Department and bring out this bachelor certificate just to get married to a lady, okay, he must be expecting something from the lady. Mm-hmm. And the marriage is not that. Marriage is partnership that you guys can come together and find out what you can do and flourish in your partnership. So obviously, as far as I am concerned, I don't think one should lie about marriage, okay? Because marriage is not something that you get into and come out, okay? If you get into there, it's a lifetime experience. So whatever lie you do or you meet Absolutely. To come into this marriage, yes. As time goes, it will come yes. to table. So
whatever's done in darkness will come to light.
Exactly.
Thank you, Spider. Now, we're coming to a close, and I've had some comments by somebody called Militant Angel. Now, one thing she said, yes? Beverly. Militant Angel, under disguise. I'm actually going to a naming ceremony on Sunday. I've been to one before in London, but it's the first time I'll be going to one since I've been in the Gambia. What would you say to her?
To go to the wedding is normal, we European, you will see the white people. Yeah, in the white people, they will come to to Africa, to go to a naming ceremony or wedding ceremony. Here we join the dress code, which is not normal. It's not right at all. You can dress, but not sure. Yeah, you have to be comfortable in it, and you have to do what you feel like to. Nobody should force you to wear something or do something, so it should be your feelings.
Thank you. And also a second question by Militant Angel. Well, I don't know if it's a question or a statement. At no time at all, at no time at all, exclamation, will I be a second or third wife? I'm in a relationship with a man who has no interest in more than one wife. Have you done your due diligence? Sorry, I didn't mean that. Sorry, I didn't mean that, but yes. So, what would you say quickly to Militant Angel?
I just wanted to say, I wanted to add on to what we talked about earlier with regard to polygamous. Yeah, that I do have some friends that have actually married into polygamous marriages, that have been apart and had successful marriages. So,
Thank you.
yeah, from the States. I
Good.
just wanted to add that.
We've got a Pam Sam who says, is there no public record of marriages in the Gambia? So we talked about justice, which there are public records in justice, and you can only marry one wife in justice. And so says, and children.
Married and all that. And no, she said, why not? Why not? And I said, oh, you married? She says, yes, and I'm the second wife. And she was really happy. And I was like, how does this work? And she was saying that her husband he's in America, and he's in America for 2 years with his first wife, and then he comes back and he's with her for 2. And I said, well, you know, does this work for you? And I felt that it worked well for her. So for her, that works. It was like, I'm getting best of both worlds. I'm getting the finances, and I get my husband for 2 years to myself, and then he has. So each one.
There are
each
different
to their own,
ways,
really,
yeah, different
you
ways
know?
of doing it.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming to the end of our show, and thank everybody for listening in. Thank those who have gone live on YouTube and Facebook Live. Empire Radio 1 is the people's radio station in Gunjur in the Gambia, and I'd like to say a good everybody to sorry. Yeah, we was coming. I would like everybody, very quickly, but I'd like everybody to say goodbye, because I thank you to all the panellists. You've been absolutely great, those that I can see and those that I can't see. Words and say goodbye to our
Yeah, my last word is like, thank you all. Thank you for watching, I would like to say thank you, my fellow Africans abroad, you're welcome back. You can come to, your country. There's no place like home. You can come, there's nothing to be scared of, You're welcome back. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm so happy, so glad. My name is Fat Sambu. I'm so glad for the show. People watching, I'm so happy. And what I have to say to my fellow blacks out there, you are always highly welcome. Here is your home. No place is better than Africa, and we love Africa. We have to work together and work for our countries. All right, you are welcome whenever, what time you need to come. You are always highly welcome. Be happy. Don't be scared. We are all here for you.
Rahima?
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us, everyone. And thank you so much to the panelists, and thank you to V, and thank you to the studio. And yeah, keep it flowing. Keep all the ideas coming. Put the questions in. Have stuff for us for next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, just like to say thank you. Hope you found it interesting and informative. Definitely keep the questions coming so we can answer any questions that you may have. Thank you to the sisters. I think one thing they do for us is they answer questions that we have as well. When we have questions, we're like, sis, this, that. And I think that's one of the things that we just need to do here. Is speak to the sisters that are here when we come as a single woman. Get together with the sisters, eat with the sisters, talk with the sisters, and empower each other.
You are absolutely correct. And it's just been so beautiful having these Gambian ladies with us. And as much as we have to learn from you, you also are learning from us. The brothers in here, we thank you for coming again. We thank Mello, and we thank Spider. Spider, do you want to have a last very quick word?
Yes, I just encourage each one teach one. If you are coming to Gambia, learn the local languages so you can mix up with the community very well. And then we are okay to go.
Okay, and then we've got Modu, which is Painkiller, who's also had a few words with us today. Your last thing you'd like to say?
Thank you. Join us next week, inshallah. Big up everybody watching.
Thank you. So, we are on, I'm Jamaica V, and we are on Black Table Talks Gambia, Empire Radio 1, the People's Radio Station. Join us next week and every Friday from 7 p.m. Gambian time, 8 p.m. UK time, and 3 p.m. US time. See you next Friday. Bye.
With that patch pan my chest. I'm black without apology, no feelings, no suppress. Africa, the motherland, understand the richest continent. When me ready, me a step, me no go fear no consequence. See them a come with them weakness and the pretense in a frequency. And a press button on a weak fence. King Marks a come with the defense. Black star line on the seat when we a steam left enemies. Them want me reduce my lineage to a state of misery. LK Malcolm get shot, I give speech. Look what the civil rights country I preach. Man I get shot, cut them off every free. And a fruit is a man where you hang from a tree. Can't move, get stopped like Tagatari. Revolution spread like up margarine. Cause I'm black, why they bad and a free. I feel pay women out if I remember seas. Them a left pure trauma. Look at them, the African daughter. Gone like a thief in the night to their mother. King Leopold could never father. Them as a African man when slaughter. Come with the Bible when I take your offer. African spiritual system marauder. Chop me arm and leg and teach me black. Turn round want me be patriot. See a colonist country and miss me with that thing. Royal African a big idiot. Napoleon a go on like him never come squat. Pan a native than a ear to we call that. The better equality, the French them a chat, but them never sweat it black.